Hi everyone, welcome back. I thought I'd do a quick Christmas card for you today, and it's super easy to do. I've got some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I'm going to use four colours I guess. So you've got black ink, some white pieces of cardstock, some green and some red. Very simple, very simple. So I've got my stamps ready to go, and I have a card base that measures 8.5 by 5.5. So when you score it, it'll be at 4.25. So we'll do that in a bit. And then I have a red piece that is 4 by 5.25, and we will trim this down a little bit in a bit, but I'll share that with you. And then I have a couple of other pieces. I have another green layer and another white layer, and this green layer is just 1/4 inch bigger than the white layer, and to get the size of that I just measured my stamp and then added a little bit more onto it. So I made it about 1/4 inch bigger than this stamp, and then made the layer 1/4 inch bigger again. So I hope that makes sense. And then I have a scallop circle, that I used from the largest of the large scalloped Spellbinders dies. I've had these for many years, so I thought I'd also drag out some old product to show you how you can still use those now. So it's the largest, it's the smallest scalloped circle from the largest set, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then this piece is actually the Lawn Fawn Rooftop die, and there's 2 scallops in this, and the two together then create like a rooftop, like is it shingles, is that what they call it, on a rooftop? And so I decided that actually this is a scallop edge, which is what I wanted, so it makes for a perfect scalloped edge for whatever you're doing. So yeah, I thought that was clever on my part, but it's also a way to look at your stash and see whether there's product in there that you can use for other things. So that's meant for a rooftop, but I can see a scalloped edge there. So and then I'm going to use the Lawn Fawn gingham backdrops. This is fab for Christmas, winter themed cards and all projects, and also sort of spring, I think, of gingham as well. But it's really good for wintry type projects. I couldn't think of the word. So I have that, which I will need in a minute. And then the main set is an old Stampin' Up! Father Christmas stamp set, and this has got that whole vintage vibe. I don't know if you guys, those of you who have it, remember when this came out. This was a few years ago, but I love it. I can't get rid of it because it's vintage and I am obsessed. So I'm using both the sentiment and the main image from this stamp set. So I think we'll just start with, let's start with the background. So for the background I'm going to need a stamp platform of some description. I'm going to use this one. This is a Stamp Perfect. It's very similar, and I think there was some palaver, squeak still, over it because it's very similar to the Misty. I'm not associated with any of them, and I have it. I don't want to waste it. I don't want to get rid of it, so I'm going to use it. This is actually a dry eraser thing that I got off Amazon for like £1 or something. This just helps if you've got like wrist problems. You'll see what I mean in a minute. It just helps you stamp it down a bit easier. So I'm going to, I don't know, I think I'm going to use there's 2 patterns in here. So there's a smaller strip which has bigger gingham, and then there's a larger strip but that has smaller gingham. So I think I'm going to use the little gingham but the big stamp. So let's just grab this off here like so. then I'm going to need this. So this is my main piece. It's the best way of doing this. I'm just going to butt it up into the corner. No, I'm not. I'm going to line it up as best I can with just one of the lines on the platform, so it's not completely in the corner. And then this way I can make sure that hopefully, she says, hopefully I can get as straight a line, because I can butt the stamp up against the edge of the platform. And then I will put these on as well. Try and hold that in place. I'm going to close that, and of course that's going to move. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just roughly, so I know it's where it's supposed to be. But is this going to fit? Oh no. Oh. Yeah. So then, just get my things out the way. I'm going to use the VersaFine. So this is the only ink that you'll use for this. I did think about doing some ink blending around the edges, look at the state of it, with some brush corduroy to make it more vintage, but I thought this is a really simple, straightforward card that you could use, and you can jazz it up by inking the edges or adding some gold paper, you know, like mirror cardstock. Do you remember that stuff? You know, as one of the layers or something like that, if you want to jazz it up a bit. So ink that. This is where this comes in handy, and I just use it to help because my wrists are not as not as good as they used to be. And I still press a little bit. Oh, that noise you can hear is my fan. It's kind of hot here, and I'm doing Christmas cards and Halloween cards, as you guys would have seen. But whatever. And then we have our gingham. It's not perfect, but it's fine. I'm not worried. And I'm going to turn this over. Now obviously there's going to be an overlap if I do it like that. So I'm going to... yeah, I'm going to clean this off. And then move the stamp to the paper. Blech. Very dirty microfiber. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to, if I can, my plan's not going to work, but just going to kind of line it up and see if I can get it to work. So now, and you want to go in the same direction, otherwise they won't, your pattern won't line up. And for the most part you can see the pattern so through there quite nicely. Just check. I think that should be okay. ink that up again, and then back in my dry eraser. So this is kind of like what I'm calling a live but not live. I mean a live but not live. I don't even know how to use them. Quotation marks or whatever they're called. So it's a little off center, but it's not whoa, not going to make too much of a difference, I don't think. We hope. Right, so I'm just going to clean that off quickly. And sometimes it's hard to line them up because they're so big. Like this is a big stamp, to then line up the pattern. And I do think there's a bit of an art to it, so don't beat yourself up if you don't line it up. So I'm just going to leave that there for now. So there's our pattern, and you can see here it's not lined up perfectly, and I've kind of double stamped, but it's fine, it's fine. By the time you've got everything on it, you probably won't see too much of that anyway. Let's do it this way. No, I can't do it. I've got like a slight little line there, so I'm wondering whether to just because this is my dodgy side. So I'm going to take this scallop, and I'm going to stick this on here first, and then I'm going to trim this width again. Let me zoom you in so you can see better what I'm doing. So I think I will just use some tape. Is that going to fit? No. I'm going to use some tape just along the edge. So, and then I'm going to use this as a guide to where I'm lining this piece up. And the main thing is to not have any of the red sticking through the little voopy bits. I don't know what you want to call those. The scallopy bits. And I think I've got ink on my hands. I do. So I'm just going to, because the VersaFine takes a little while to dry, so I've got ink everywhere now. And along a nice white edge. So we might be inking everything. And then what I'm going to do is bring in a paper trimmer. Let me zoom you out again. You can see what I'm doing. And I want to trim the width. I'll trim the edges here as well, but I want to trim this width so that the edge here and to the edge on this side is 4 inches wide. So I'm just going to line this up this way around. And then that will fit on my card base. Yeah, that'll fit nicely on the card base. So just grab some scissors, trim these edges, like so. And let's actually score and fold this piece, which I forgot to get. So I'm just going to score this at 4 1/4. Fold it over. And then I have my little card base. Score this a bit more. It's quite thick cardstock. This is Gina K cardstock, by the way. This is Christmas Pine and Red Velvet, I think this one was. So I've got that there. And then I want this to go along that edge there. So do you see, by trimming it down afterwards, it now fits with the right size border all the way around. And that's what I wanted. So I've got this tape here, I'll just use this. So that's the only thing with VersaFine, is it does take a little while to dry, which I always forget, which is why I always land up with ink everywhere. So, but that's just something to bear in mind, depending on the ink that you're using, how long it takes to dry. And you guys would have noticed that I have started on my Christmas Halloween themed projects. I'm obsessed when it comes to doing this time of year, so I get very excited. So I know that this is like a bit early for this maybe, but for some of you, but it isn't for me. So I love making these sort of projects, and if I could, I would make them all year round. So that's straight enough. And then we're going to stamp our image now. So I'm also going to use the VersaFine for the Santa. And that just ties all the colours in. So really this is quite a monochromatic-ish card. But very, very easy to do. Somewhat straight on there. Look at that. Isn't that the coolest thing? Such a cool picture. Oh, I love it. Anyway, so again, that's going to be wet for a bit, so I'm going to just leave it off to the side, and then I'll get the sentiment stamped as well. I'm not bringing out any tools like the Stampin' Majig or anything. I'm just eyeballing this and hoping for the best. Oh, and I think I've gone off centre there. After all that, that's not bad. I know what I can do to the top there to make it look a bit more even. A jolly Christmas to all. You can add a little something there if you want. So let's see now. The other way to what's the name of this? You could heat set this a little bit. So actually I'll do that quickly. Not saying that's going to have dried it completely, but it'll be better than what it has been. I don't want to smudge it. So I'm going to do that just while I get some tape on here. worst case, we stamp it again. It's just a piece of cardstock and a bit of ink, right? Not bad. So let's get this on here. Yay! He worked! So he's just going to go up here. And again, this is super simple. You can pop all this stuff up, you can, you know, do loads of extra things if you want. I'm keeping this real simple because I just think sometimes it's nice to have super simple cards, easy to make, that you can have ready to go, especially at the holidays. Which is probably, I mean, if you guys heard me in my last one of my last ones, I said how I'm really bad at like actually getting the cards out the door. Yeah, I really am. So there's a bit of a blur from some ink, so I might actually switch this round and do it this way around. I was going to do it like so. I still think that's going to look better. Right. Ignore me while I change my mind. So I'm going to just... Ooh. And then this one I will pop up. And then this will just sit about there. How easy is that? So easy. Now you could add like little red gems down here on the scallop just to bling it up a bit. You could add an extra one there if, like me, you'd stamped it a little lower than it should be. You could add little blings to the corners here. You know, you could add a few extra bits to that, but that's a very simple card that you can quite easily make more than one of, if you know what I mean. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will be back with more Christmas in July and everything else that comes with it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.